I mean that's
On
basically like that's like your parents saying you should be. That's like you being a 30-year-old person, right? You go to your parents' house and like, man, you should say thank you for Santa Claus. You're 30. You pretty much know Santa Claus doesn't exist, and they're like, no, you should be thankful. It's like, no, it's bullshit. You were hiding the presents the entire time. Now, if you have younger siblings in the house, you'll play along for their sake. But you know, when there are no kids around, it's like, come on, man. We all know it's bullshit. So anyway, we're live. I guess we're going to continue with what we did.
last Wednesday.
Yeah. Well, Wednesday. So I guess I got to stop going on Twitter. So I guess we can talk about some of the continue with what we did. Some more epic failures and some mini consoles we would like to see and all that type of stuff. So without much ado, let's get into it after the cut. Well, there's no cut. We're live. So before we go any further, let's have everyone introduce themselves and tell us what they've been playing.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. Welcome to the podcast. I am Joe Eli Moonstar. And recently I've been finished Oracle of Ages after playing some Dragon Quest VIII.
Which version of Dragon Quest VIII are you playing? Are you playing the 3DS version or the PS2 version?
3DS.
Okay.
Oh, don't stop.
I mean,
is the PS2 version the superior version? I take it.
Yeah. Not for the home console thing or anything like that. The reason the reason the 3DS is inferior to the PS2 version is because the 3DS version has had some censorship done, and some of the there's been storyline changes which mess up the impact of certain events in the game. Like, they soften some characters in order to make them more palatable, because there's some characters in that game that even like that are absolutely evil, and then and then something horrific happens to them, and it's like they it's like, well, why do you care when you were you were being a total dick to this guy? Like, there's in the PS2 in the 3DS version, there's this scene where this or one of the descendants of the Seven Sages is killed, and he's this young man. And in the PS2 version, the guy who he works for makes him eat like this dog food out of this dog bowl. In the 3DS version, it's been completely changed, which destroys the impact of the entire event when he dies. Yeah, it's, and the writing's really like the PS2 version is better than the 3DS version. Also,
the thing about the 3DS version is it was a port of the mobile phone version.
Yeah, they made some changes to make it more palatable. They did some censorship on some of the bonus outfits for Jessica, because some of them can get kind of racy. It's like, it's like one of those things where the port is like, I'm not.
Did they do that for the Japanese version as well on the 3DS?
I don't know. It could be. I just know that the 3D version, because I remember I was like really looking forward to getting that game for the 3DS, because I have the PS2 version, but not every day do I hook up my PS2 to my big screen TV or my HD my small HD smart TV, and I was like, I'm gonna get this. Oh shit! They changed major things because I mean, I will tell you this much: Dragon Quest VIII has a really good story. For a Dragon Quest game, it has a really good story, because Dragon Quest games kind of tick between having a really good gameplay or you're going to have a really good story. But Dragon Quest VIII, the gameplay is pretty standard, but the story is just, it's a cherry on top. It's really good.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. But hey, as long as you enjoyed it, Did you do the Dragovian trials enough times to get all the dragon armor?
I'm on the I'm on the grind. Well, trying to find those annoying beeping slimes.
Oh, for Mori?
Yeah. If
Alright.
anything, for that. So, I'm
Okay.
leveling up a little.
All right.
Hey.
Okay.
Hey, if you want to be sure that you have no hiccup, be sure to put in some extra effort.
Yeah, that's the thing about old school Dragon Quest games. It's like, well, you wanna make sure you're gonna be good. Just grind. If you grind enough, you can get past any problem in a Dragon Quest game, except for Dragon Quest VIII and those Dragovian trials, because once you get past them like 3 or 4 times, those last like 3-4 times are a motherfucker. Because the Dragon King just gets insane.
Good.
Yeah, he gets off the chain after a while. Kenoshi, what you been playing?
I've been playing Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition and Shantae, Seven Science here and there. Haven't finished the game yet.
Yeah.
And
Hi, I'm
Dragon Ball FighterZ, and I really don't feel like putting a lot of effort in playing the game.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I have also been playing Shantae. I beat it. I didn't 100%. I'm like 92%, but I just got to find all the nuggets and shit. Yeah, Shantae and the Seven Sirens. I did a review. I'm not gonna. It's pretty spoiler free. I didn't really go into any real. I would say it's overall pretty good. It's a little on the easy side. Overall,
It's pretty easy. Yeah.
for a Shantae game, it is kind of easy. That's, and that's mostly because the game was made to be on.
Mobile.
It was made to be on mobile devices first.
Yeah.
And mobile doesn't really,
It's hard to play this game on mobile.
Yeah, that game would be really hard to play in mobile, so it's a little overly easy on console and PC. But overall it's pretty good. It's not terrible. It's just not. It's like, okay. I would say Shantae, just from having played it, it's on, as a game that just came out, because I know people are like, well, it was out since last year on Apple Arcade. I don't own an Apple product, so for me, this is a new game. I know it's been out longer, but to me, it's new, because it hit everything else just last month.
They've added a few elements. They've added a few things so it's not just a straight up port. There's also some other stuff.
Well, yeah, there's some. Well, initially on Apple Arcade, only half the game was there. It was like part 1, and then on Apple Arcade they added part 2. So now it's a complete game, and I think they added some quality of life changes, like a map, because the Apple Arcade version didn't have a map initially, but then they added one eventually. So, there's some basic shit that was added. There's a new mode once you beat the game that it's not quite as good as the Slave Leia mode, where you had like all the magic in the world in Half Genie Hero, and you could cast as many spells as you wanted. It was kind of cheap. It was kind of cheap. It was broke the game, but it was nice if you found all the extra little bits and pieces. So the game's base. I would say that, like, if you look, the base game, it is more of a complete game once it was released than Half Genie Hero. Half Genie Hero felt, ironically, like half a game once it came out. However, if you've taken all the extra crap that came to Half Genie Hero after the fact, Half Genie Hero overall is, I feel, slightly better than the Seven Sirens, just in terms of the content. I think that them streamlining this game for mobile kind of took away some of the fun, because they're like, you have genie fusions, but they just basically are like screen clearing magic attacks. They don't really do anything. Like, in previous games, your transformations did cool shit. Not in this game.
It was that much of a flop.
I mean, it's not like, oh my god, this breaks the game. It's just like things that they did in order to make it work on a mobile devices kind of bring down the experience for people who aren't playing on a mobile device. Like the things they did, if you were playing this on an iPhone, would be great, but I'm not playing it on an iPhone, and most of the Shantae games have been on dedicated hardware, so you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of like recently a lot of review sites have been talking about how the Outer Worlds on the Switch in handheld mode plays like shit. But I'm like, this is a game that really should be on a console or PC being budgeted down to play on what is essentially a mobile CPU GPU.
Yeah.
Like, okay, there are people who will tinker with a motor, with a lawnmower motor, right? And they'll basically turn it into their own, like, almost street legal vehicle. But I don't care how much you tinker on that shit and customize it. It's not going to be compared to a 4 or 6 cylinder car engine. It's just not. You know, it's amazing what you were able to do with it. That's awesome. But, you know, for certain shit, you need a car or a truck. You know? And in this case, you kind of needed a car and a truck, and you tried to do it with a lawnmower engine. I mean, it's amazing what you were able to do, but I think, you know, if you don't want to do the if you aren't willing to take the downgrade, then, you know, it's good for you. Because here's the thing. There's certain games that work really well when you do go with a downgrade. Like I said before in a previous podcast, like Daikatana for the Game Boy Color is way better than any of the console or PC versions of Daikatana because it was simplified and they had to distill the essence of what that game is and to do something different in order to get the general overall gist of that game across on limited hardware. But sometimes you put things on limited hardware, it's like I would rather just play a better version of this game on more powerful hardware. Like Street Fighter 2 for the Game Boy or Game Boy Color versus Street Fighter 2 on the SNES or the Genesis or the TurboGrafx 16 or, you know, something like that. It's like, it's a no-brainer of which version to play of that game. So, guess I should tell you what I've been playing. I've been playing Shantae and the Seven Sirens as well. I've also been playing Gordian Quest.
If I remember right, isn't it the card game that's kind of like you have more characters and have multiple bosses to fight?
Yeah, I would say it's kind of like Baten Kaitos. Because each character has their own deck. You can customize that deck to an extent. As you class up, the amount of cards you have in your deck increases. The variation you can have in your deck increases. So it's basically like a 2D isometric view Baten Kaitos. Yeah. So if you like Baten Kaitos, Gordian Quest is for you. If you don't like Baten Kaitos, or you've never played a card battle game, then I don't know what to say.
I was about to say Slay the Spire as an introductory.
I've never played Slay the Spire. Every time I want to get it, and I'm like, oh man, I should get that game, and it's not on sale. I don't want to spend full price on that game.
Sometimes some of the games are worth the full price. Sometimes.
For me, like, okay, if there's games that I absolutely have to get, like Shantae was a game I absolutely have to get because I love the Shantae games. So even though it wasn't really on sale, I still bought it. But if a game is like something that I don't really want to take like a full price chance on, I'll wait till it's on sale to get it. Like, I'll wait until there's a sale. I'm like, okay, well, you know, it's on sale now, so I'll get it. I mean, that's kind of like why, I mean, even though I don't really like the Epic Game Store, I like that it exists because I can get access to games that I wouldn't want to pay money for, but they'll give it to me for free. So I'm like, yeah, I'll try it for nothing. I wouldn't pay for it, but sure, I'll try it.
I was about to say, at least you putting any pocket change in Epic's wallet.
There's like 2 games I've bought from Epic. The Outer Worlds was one because I love the developers and the personal developers and the studio behind that game. So I was like, fuck it, I'll get it. And there was no way on God's green earth I was getting it for the Switch because I knew when I saw that game, I'm like, that game's gonna be ass on the Switch because it's just it's
Come on.
no there's I mean
Wait for it for Steam if you're gonna be that way.
no, I didn't feel like waiting 6 or 7 months for it to be on Steam. I don't think it's like a year. I don't think it's on Steam yet. Let me check. The Outer Worlds. I don't think it's on Steam. I think it's on consoles. I don't think the Outer Worlds. The Outer Worlds. Yeah, it's not on Steam yet. Like it's coming out sometime this year, and I really
I got the patience of a monk.
Well, I mean, I have to pay. Like, here's the thing, okay? It's an Obsidian game. I love Obsidian. I support their games by and large. I think they're the better Western game developer, like Western RPG developer. I think they don't get their due because they're overshadowed by the people they make sequels for games for. Like everyone likes the original KOTOR. They forget that Obsidian made KOTOR 2, which is a way better game. Everyone likes, everyone's like, well, Bethesda, they worship at the teat of Bethesda. But to be honest with you, Bethesda, I mean, they're overrated. Because, I mean, the best Fallout game wasn't made by Bethesda, it was made by Obsidian. So, I was like, okay, I'm going to support, because Obsidian, like, these are the people who made some of the best Western RPGs of all time in their own right, like the original Fallout games, and some of the people who work at Obsidian are the ones who made Vampire the Masquerade, like Western RPGs that took the concept of your story, your choices shape what's going to happen in this entire game. I love that shit. So I was like, you know what, I'll take that hit. And plus, I didn't pay full price for it. I got a deal. I paid like half of what it was not half, like 60%, so like $49.99 versus $39.99 versus $59.99. So, I wasn't spending full price on it, but I still gave. And when the DLC comes out for it, the season pass, I'll get that. But it's not on Steam yet. So, and there's no we don't know when this game is going to come out on Steam. Because of their shitty exclusivity deal.
Considering EA has managed to put something on Steam, I was have the patience.
Yeah, they put stuff on Steam, but do you like Dragon Age 2, which is trash, Dragon Age Inquisition, which is also trash. Yeah, Dragon Age Inquisition is terrible, and I know people are gonna be like, "What do you mean?" Look, I have that game because I bought Dragon Age 2 for the PS3 and Dragon Age Inquisition for PC, and it is trash. Goddamn trash. Kenoshi, your thoughts on it?
Thoughts on the Outer Worlds?
Thoughts on waiting to buy a game? Boycotting a game for certain platforms, or is it all the time, some of the time, or never?
Oh, I mean, if you really want to play the game, then buy it. Either buy it on the CD Key house deal. I mean, you might have to proceed the launcher to play it, but
I mean, that's basically what I did. Because I hate Epic, but I really like Obsidian. So I was like, do I want to give to Obsidian or do I want to say fuck you to Epic? And it's like, well, I hate Epic. I really like Obsidian. So I was like, fine, then I'll do something for you guys.
Heck, I'd hold my ground and.
Oh, I've held my ground for a lot of games. There's a lot of games that I really wanted that I did not get.
I've seen recently.
I told you, there's only 2 games I've gotten off of the Epic Game Store. There's Saints Row the Third Remastered, which I got off of a CD Key site and I paid like $20 for, and which is really too much because had I waited till it came out on Steam, I probably would have gotten it for like $10 or free, but whatever. I really like Saints Row the Third, so I was like, ugh. Fine then. Because you can't run that game on PC with DirectX 10 or higher. Like you can't run it. Like if your PC is too if you can't and like why would you run it on a DirectX 9, which is what you have to run it on for everything else. So I was like, fuck it, I'll take that hit.
What
And
game is this?
The Outer Worlds. Saints Row the Third
Okay.
Remastered. Yeah, it's an Epic Store exclusive for the time being. So I was like, you know what? I'll take that hit. But there's other games that were Epic Store exclusives that I did not get. Like I did not get. I didn't get Borderlands 3, which was the big Epic Store exclusive on the Epic Store. On the Epic Store, I waited till it came to Steam because I was like, I'm not giving them money for that shit.
Well, I've noticed that EA has bent the knee and putting their games on Steam again. Probably because they realize that
People aren't buying the shit at the Origin store.
not buying it on Origin, they want their game everywhere.
Yeah,
It's-
and people don't
it's-
like their fucking launcher. I mean, because Origin is trash.
Yeah, it is.
Worse than what I've heard from you. But
No, it's true. The Origin store is trash. Because the thing is like, okay, even Epic isn't as bad as this. Because the Epic store, you can play those games. Like if you for some reason you updated your computer and it had to go on offline or something, you can still play your games offline, no problem. The Origin store, like if your shit isn't on, those games it'll suffer. It'll be like, oh no, you can't do that. It's like, why do I have to play these games through your
I was
shit?
saying that if anything, it means that there's worse launchers out there than Origin probably.
Bethesda.net is maybe worse. Maybe worse. I see. Here's the thing. I basically don't play. Like the only Bethesda game I have on my PC right now is Fallout New Vegas. I basically took off Fallout 4, Fallout 3, Skyrim
Please don't
Special
have
Edition.
76.
No, I never bought 76. I kind of knew before that game came out that it was going to be some bullshit. I was like, no.
They tried to give it away for free. Oh boy.
Well, really, I mean, that game would probably be better if they just made it free to play and, like, just had, like, microtransaction mechanics. But to charge people $60 for a game that they knew was going to be a broken piece of shit is kind of, it's kind of scummy. You know, it's kind of,
I was gonna say on the same level as Act.
well, I mean, it's just really scummy. You know, I don't know why I'm surprised because Bethesda's been scummy for years. Years they've been scummy. But that's my opinion, and I'll stick to it. So what do you guys, what are games that you guys have played where you've just been like a game came out and you're like, you want to support this, like a game that you were really looking forward to, but then you heard it was like, it got some type of exclusive or some shit, and you were just like, I can't do it. I can't. Now that it went to these people, like, I can't support you anymore. You got to let them go. Or has there been a game that you've had to let go because of who people supported? Like it getting an exclusive for something that you were just like, nah, I can't fuck with that. Anyone? Anyone have anything? Nothing? Oh, shit. Yeah, Joel?
Sorry, I had a phone call. What was the question?
The question was, do you have any game that basically came out where you were just like, you really
Nope.
like you wanted to support it, but then it came out that it was exclusive to this developer or this studio, and you're just like, I can't fuck with you anymore. You had to let it go.
That's a hard one, but to oddly number 9.
What, Final Fantasy 9?
Actually, no. I mean, no, the one that, what was it? Oh yeah, crying at prom night.
All right.
I was thinking of actually looking more into it and letting out the word and maybe even try to get some money into it. Then they went south.
All right. All right. I think Kenoshi is still. No, Kenoshi. Has there been a game that like it turned out that they had an exclusivity deal or under a publisher you couldn't support? So when you heard about it, you were like, I can't buy this game. You were like, oh fuck it, nope, I'm done.
I think, well, the Rise of the Tomb Raider stuff is pretty weird. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. Oh, and I just thought that, Bethesda taking some of their, which I'm not a Bethesda fan, but, Bethesda was hiding some of their games behind their launcher.
Bethesda.net.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of
That's
like, I
pretty
can't. Yeah, I can't fuck with that shit anymore. I was like, I can't. No, we're good. I never liked their launcher anyway because it's Bethesda and Bethesda is just trash. I know some people don't understand that, but Bethesda is trash. They are trash.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for me, I would have to say that I've pretty much felt that way about the big game that did that to me is I would say Borderlands 3. Like, I was really excited when they announced it, and they were like, "Oh, it's an Epic Store exclusive." Like, well, fuck this game, and I waited till it came to Steam before I bought it. I was like, I can wait.
Yeah.
It's like I don't need to have this. I don't need to have this today or this week. I can wait, and I did. I waited and I waited and I waited, and it finally came, and I was like, yeah, I can get it. Because I'll be damned if I'm buying this on the Epic Store. And I got it so much cheaper on Steam, it wasn't even funny. And it had all the DLC, so I was like, oh, this is totally worth it. Or the first season pass and all that stuff, so. Yeah. So I guess we can get on to the first topic. So, talking about failures, because, we always got to talk failures.
I already hit that Wednesday.
Yeah, but there's more failures because... So, as we all know, Google Stadia has failed miserably. But thinking of things that failed miserably, or at least didn't really set the world afire. So, Sega came out since the Sega Mini did so well, the one that wasn't made by AtGames but by M2. They decided, hey guys, we're gonna release the Sega
Game Gear Mini.
The Sega Game Gear Mini. But instead of like putting like 10 games per little mini thing, or 8, you're only gonna get 4, and they're $50 a pop.
Wait a second. 4?
Yeah, 4
That's
per
a slice.
Yeah, 4 per thing.
You missed a good golf joke.
Yeah, 4.
I mean, seriously. To give us only that many, and that's at full price like that.
Yeah, I'm kind of
Nice.
like, you only get 4? I mean, personally, I'm kind of like, 4? And here's the worst thing: there's only 4, and they're $50 a pop, which is really kind of if you're gonna charge someone $50 for a mini console and only have 4 games on it, those better be some damn good games. But they aren't. Like, let me look at the list here of Sega Genesis, Game Gear, minis. Like there's 4 games per mini, and they come in different colors. The black version comes out with Sonic the Hedgehog for the Sega Genesis, which is a completely different game. I mean, for the it's a port of the Master System Sonic the Hedgehog, so it's a completely different game than Sonic 1. Puyo Puyo 2, so it's basically a strategy game. Outrun it's a Master System port of Outrun, which, I mean, it's impressive, but kind of And strategy RPG Royal Stone. You're paying $50 for 4 games. Now, to be fair, one of these games is a strategy RPG, but it's on the Game Gear, so it's not going to have the depth of, say, a Shining Force. Then you get the blue version, which is Sonic and Tails, Gunstar Heroes, Action RPG Sylvan Tale. It's basically a Legend of Zelda clone, but a shitty one. And competitive puzzler Baku Baku Animal.
Which would be good if you could link your Game Gear Mini to try to compete against somebody, but I bet you it's gonna be single player only.
Yeah, you can't connect these things to other. I don't think to other Game Gear micros. And even if you could, no, go ahead, Kenoshi.
I think Sega's high off their own chinkum.
I don't know about that. I think that Mini sold way better than they thought. And they're like, well, shit, we can get these dumbasses to pay if we broke it up into pieces.
That's gonna be a failure.
Yeah, I think the image that how the micro is, I mean that Game Gear Mini works. It's so tiny.
Like the only company that could possibly get away with that, not saying I would support it, is Nintendo.
Yeah, and that's because Nintendo has certain games that, like, if you like those games, the only way you're going to be able to play those games is through them. They're like a drug dealer. Yeah, baby, if you want a hit of this, you got to go through me. I'm the one. I got everything you need, baby. Come on. That's Nintendo with that shit. You want to play a Paper Mario? You only can go through me, baby. Come on. You can even have this shitty one that was dumped in a dumpster and covered with baby diaper shit. It's like, no, thank you. I don't need that one. I don't need Sticker Star. And then
they can create a Game Boy. I wouldn't say a Game Boy Mini, but they could release Game Boys with pre-installed games on them. Charge $50 for like 5 games.
I would say 10 or 20.
Yeah, 10. Yeah, 10, 20 games, and people would eat that up.
Yeah, they would. I think that would be a really good deal. Like, you get like a Game Boy, or even just call it the Game Boy Mini, and it's like a combination between a Game Boy Color, and a Game Boy Advance. No, just a Game Boy and a Game Boy Color. And you have like 20 games, 10 classic Game Boy games, 10 color Game Boy games, and, boom. Like, obviously, one of the games would have to be Tetris.
Yeah.
One of the games, like you'd have to have Super Mario Land, Super Mario Land 2, maybe Super Mario Land 3, Wario Land. So that's 4 games right there. Let's see what else. Maybe Killer Instinct for the Game Boy Color. For the Game Boy. Pokemon, the original Pokemon, either red or blue. Because those were non-color games. Those are monochrome games. I would say Link's Awakening, but the better version of that game is Link's Awakening DX with the color. So,
Yeah.
maybe fill out the rest of that with maybe Castlevania: The Adventure 1 and 2, or Simon's Revenge or whatever. Belmont's Revenge. So let's see. There's I don't know. The Game Boy had such a massive library, and I would say a good half of that library are good games. And then the rest of it could just be color games. You could have like Pokemon Yellow. You could have Legend of Zelda DX. You could have Metroid 2 Return to Samus, the original. Yeah, it's not you know, it's just kind of sad that, like, okay, basically the Game Gear Micro is like $50, and it only has 4 games, and these are Game Gear games. These aren't like, these are games that people didn't give a shit about when they came out in the first time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, it is what it is. So that being said, let's keep it moving. So what are some mini consoles that you think, we already said the Game Boy, what other mini consoles do you think could come out that people would be agog for, if you will?
As I was proclaiming, I said the game, and I mean I listed off a lot of those games, and when first
Did you say the Game Gear?
I said the GameCube.
Oh, no, I said a mini console for like a handheld, not a.
Oh.
Sorry, I didn't mean for like home consoles. I mean, when I say I misspoke. When I say a mini console, I mean something for like the game for a handheld, like the Game Boy or the TurboGrafx 16.
It might be a little early, but I was saying it might be a bit early, but DS Mini.
DS Mini, that'd be cool. The DS had a lot of games though. Like with Nintendo, if they did a DS Mini, that would be perfect. Like, they'd have to follow what Sega did with the Game Gear. Like, you'd have to have different colors that had different collections of games on them. Like, you'd have like the DS Blue, which would maybe have like RPG games, or the DS Green, which would have Pokemon games, or the DS Yellow, which would have like action adventure titles. The DS Red that would have like sports games and shit like that. Because the DS has a huge library of games, so.
Oh yeah, the only big word, how their Wi-Fi would work out, as in, would they be able to connect to our DS Mini?
Well, if they added Wi-Fi to it, then it would, like, the price point would go up if they added Wi-Fi. I think it would. I think the games would not have. They would have to have games on there that did not have Wi-Fi, because you don't want it to be like some mini game collections that are like, yeah, we put this game on there, but the game it's kind of like how Nintendo did with the fucking Wii Mini, that came with Mario Kart 8. No, not Mario Kart 8. Mario Kart Wii, but didn't have the Wii Mini didn't have any online capability. So what was the fucking point of having Mario Kart Wii on it?
Yeah.
Because a major component of that game was the online play, even though the online, for the Wii wasn't great,
Which
but
I was gonna say that would be the multi. I was saying the wireless play would be the real trick part, but otherwise, if they could put the single player games on there, that would really be a hit.
yeah. I mean, if you had single player games, it'd be great. Um, especially if you had stuff like, there's some good games that were on the DS, like all those Final Fantasy ports. Um, and Dragon Quest 8 and no, that was the 3DS. Dragon Quest 9 was for the DS. It's a really good game. But that's just me. So, Kenoshi, do you have a mini handheld, like a mini type of handheld mini kind of like that you think that could be done that would possibly be a better value than what Sega's doing with the Game Gear Mini?
Here's a console. Here's a handheld nobody's ever heard of. Remember the Neo Geo Pocket?
Oh man, I have one of those. That thing's a beast.
Yeah, I have one of those too.
The Neo Geo Pocket was awesome.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the only
See that-
flaw is that it went up against the Game Boy. That's the only.
Too bad it didn't sell. Yeah.
No, it did well in Japan, but like Namco didn't really do anything. Not Namco. SNK didn't really do anything to really make it work outside of Japan. So, you know. So how would you basically have it come out? Would you just be like,
Well, I don't think there was very many games for it, so you could create like one or two models. It was a very short-lived product. Shouldn't plan on.
really? It had like 5 years. It had like 5, 6 years in. No, it had longer. That had like 7, 8 years in Japan.
Oh, well, then I guess you would have to, you could translate a lot of those games then and bring over here to the West. But would they really want to do that?
I mean, some of those games would be totally worth it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
because
but- yeah.
I mean, there's some RPGs on the Neo Geo Pocket. There's some beat 'em ups, some 2D fighting games.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. The only game I own, because I was a kid when I got it, so was Sonic.
Yeah, but I mean, there's like SNK versus Capcom on the Neo Geo Pocket, like a miniaturized version of SNK versus Capcom. It's really good. Like, there's some good
Yeah.
shit on there, man.
Yeah, I might. I think that because doesn't that it comes with like an extra battery, this like watch battery. I'm not even sure what that's for.
Yeah, you can set time on it. Man, they didn't know how to market that shit against the
Yeah.
Game Boy. They did the best they could, but it didn't work that
Yeah.
well.
I might
It's-
need to. I might see if I can either find some Neo Geo Pocket Color games. I bet they're expensive as all hell.
I mean, some are expensive, some aren't. It's
Right.
one of those things like, oh, this is kind of expensive, this kind of isn't, just.
Might see if I can find a modified one with a backlit screen and stuff on eBay.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting console. It's kind of sad nobody bought it.
Well, like I said, it came out during the age of the Game Boy, and I mean, the Game Boy basically was like the Game Boy is like a little short fat guy who everyone was like, yeah, well, I'm thinner than you, I'm badder than you, I'm faster than you, and the Game Boy don't give a fuck. Game Boy curb stomp your ass anyway, and did. Game Boy don't care.
Yeah.
But so that's a good answer. Okay, I think we can keep it moving to the next little bit of news. So, as we know, all the cool shit was broken. I mean, all the stuff that was supposed to happen this week got moved back 2 weeks. So, the PC game show. I think the only thing that did happen this week was the Japanese game show thing, the Japanese indie game show. But I don't speak Japanese, so I'm gonna have to wait for a translation of that show.
Nintendo's Direct. They're not doing one this year, apparently.
No, they were like, fuck it. We don't. I mean, really, do they need to do a direct when Animal Crossing sold like 5 million units
Yeah.
in a month, just in America alone? Like worldwide, I think it's sold like 14, 15 million.
I'm happy about, and I'm happy about that so much.
Well, I mean, Animal Crossing, except for those shitty ones like the card game and that one that was kind of like a party game and not actually like an Animal Crossing. Those are the only ones that didn't do great. But I mean, typically speaking, Nintendo says we're releasing Animal Crossing. It sells Game Busters anyway, so not really, not really surprising that Animal Crossing would sell well.
Yeah, a time like this.
It's just not surprising. It's like if someone came up to you and was like, it's like typically speaking, typically speaking, like there are certain games that just sell. There are just certain games that just sell, like Legend of Zelda games sell well, Mario games sell well, Animal Crossing games sell well. They just do.
The 3 pillars of gaming, in a sense.
I wouldn't call it the 3 pillars of gaming, but I mean, they're just certain games. Like, okay, it's like, let me put it this way: having an Animal Crossing sell poorly would be like someone coming to me and saying, "Hey, man, FIFA bombed." Like, even though I hate FIFA, and to be honest with you, I'm not really that like enthralled with Animal Crossing either. Like, I'm not like, oh my god, like it bombed. I'm like, what sorcery is this? But I know not everyone has that same feeling about the thing. So, with that being said, I guess it's my turn. I think that well, I mean, I could go with the Game Boy. We already did the Game Boy. The Wonder Swan. Because the Wonder Swan was developed by Namco Bandai. Well, Namco, before it was bought by Bandai. And it was the last handheld that Gunpei Yokoi worked on.
Which is kind of surprising because that had some games that only could be.
Yeah, the Wonder Swan was actually a really good handheld, and had Gunpei Yokoi lived long enough, I think it could have been a real contender for the Game Boy in Japan, and maybe even the world had Namco actually put some real push behind it.
Effort.
Yeah, some real effort and energy behind it, because it actually was a really good little handheld. And there's some good games on that system, like Final Fantasy Legend 1, 2, and 3. Um, I want to say SNK versus Capcom Card Fighters. Like, there's some good games on the system.
Oh.
Yeah, there's some good games
That
on the
game-
Wonder Swan.
That game actually come to the West, or
What?
No,
is it the Wonder?
The
I was
Wonder
just
Swan
curious,
never-
The Wonder.
Waters.
What'd you
never came
say?
to the West?
What'd you say, Kenoshi?
Oh, I just asked if the Wonder Swan ever came to the West.
I think in limited qualities, but not officially. Like, I think it was imported. Like, if you want here, let me Google it, because I saw it in gaming magazines back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was never officially released in America. But it actually was pretty. It was actually pretty cool. In like, there was the Wonder Swan Color and the original Wonder Swan, the Wonder Swan Color, and the Wonder Swan Crystal, and it lived for, like, I want to say about 5 years, so 99 to 2004. Let's see, the Neo Geo Pocket. Because I'm pretty sure the Neo Geo Pocket lived a while. The Neo Geo Pocket was, let's say, because I'm adding the Neo Geo Pocket. Yeah, it was like 4 years, 5 years. And it was much better. Like, it was better than the Game Boy, but I just think that, like, the thing about SNK is that SNK is always shooting themselves in the ass with their hardware releases. You know?
Mhm.
So, oh well. Personally, like I said, I like um, so here's some breaking for you. Itch.io has a bundle for racial justice and equality where you get 742 games for $5. Some of which are really good.
What company is doing this?
Itch.io. It's a game distribution website.
Oh,
Yeah.
what kind of games do they sell?
I mean, basically, like, the types of games you'd see on Steam, shit like that. Except without the Steam launcher.
Oh, okay.
So, if you don't like Steam's draconic control over your stuff, then, you know, there you go. And like I said, 742 games $5. I mean,
742 games.
sorry, 742 games, $5. I mean, come on, man. $5. $5. And they're all DRM free.
Oh jeez.
So,
I wonder if any of those games are good though. That's the thing.
well, that's the thing. They've got games that are on Steam, so some of these games are really good.
Okay.
I mean, this isn't some fly by night bullshit.
You post the link in the chat.
Sure, let me
Mm.
here. Itch.io bundle for racial equality. Boom. $5. 742 games, well, items. Some of them are games, some of them are like tabletop. If you're into tabletop gaming, they're tabletop resources. Like you've got Neon Blight, the final demo. This is a game that I actually remember seeing when they did that indie week on Steam. It's like a roguelike game where you run a gun store, but then you go into dungeons and fight monsters and get items that you can then sell in your store. So it's like Moonlighter, except in the future with guns. But then you've got tabletop resources like Lancer. You've got, let's see, there's some shit in here that's like, you've got Tiny Dungeons. You've got some stuff for people who want to give to the cause, like 3 lesbians in a barrow, but they're like, what is this? What the hell is this? This is these are they're furries. There's Plunge, which is on Steam. This is that game where it's like these people are trying to get out of this this jail. But it's like a simplified tactics RPG style game. You've got Minute from Devolver Digital. So I mean, you know, there's like legit good games on here. It's not just like some shit.
Oh, okay.
It's a mix of all. Look, man, it's a mix. Look, 742 games. There's gonna be something in here you're gonna want to play for $5. $5. So I sound like a Chinese dude in a store. You want that? It's $5. $5. $5.
Which is quite a big deal when in your pocket.
Yeah. I mean, these are games that I would never pay full price for, but $5. I mean, shit, $5, man. You can do a lot of stuff, you know. I mean, look, $5 is a large venti mocha frappuccino from Starbucks. $5 is maybe a small, is a Big Mac with a small fry and a small drink. And $5 here gets you, you know, a whole bunch of games. Some of which, I mean, just by virtue of there being 742 of them, some of which got to be good. By virtue of elimination. I mean, there's Double Cross. I have that game on Steam. It's pretty good. There's Tiny Dangerous Dungeons, which is also pretty good. There's a lot of furry stuff, but I don't really like furries, so. There's all types of cool stuff in here. So, my point behind all of this is to say this. Look, $5, I can't say no to that. And some of these are really good games. Steam has never had a sale like that before.
Yeah, I might check that out.
I just bought it. I was like, $5. I can't beat that. So, anyway, so there you go, folks. I mean, you give to a good cause, and it's only $5, or you could pay more. I mean, someone apparently gave like $5,000, but I'm not doing that shit. I'm all for racial equality, but not $5,000 worth at this point. I'm not at that point yet. Maybe in the next 2 or 3 years I'll be there, but not right now. So anyway, I guess we can keep it moving. So we've got 3 questions from viewer submitted questions. I'm not going to put their information up. I'll just put the gist of what the questions are in the chat. These are all from Happy Guy 187. Sorry, 137. And they're all variations on what are some of our favorite genres of games, or what are our favorite games in certain genres and why. So we've got beat 'em ups, 2D fighters, and let's see, trying to distill this into the gist of what it's trying to say. RPG. Okay then, so who wants to go with what's their favorite beat 'em up and why? Who wants to go first?
What's your favorite beat 'em up?
Yep.
I guess I'll go with hack and slash since it's kind of a variation of beat 'em ups, not the
I think he meant genre, like Final Fight, Streets of Rage.
I didn't really, I haven't really played a lot of beat 'em ups growing up.
Alright.
There was this old Street Fighter beat 'em up game I played on the Super Nintendo with a friend, but other than that, I've never really Of course, the new Streets of Rage is pretty good, but I haven't played a ton of beat 'em ups.
Oh man, this is where we're gonna have to part ways because I didn't even like that. No, I'm joking. It's okay. How can I put this? Since Joel is taking a phone call or something, I don't like my favorite beat 'em up is like of all time, really, because I just really love this game. My favorite like classical beat 'em up kind of TikToks between
Streets of Rage.
No. I've never really was a huge fan of Streets of Rage. I like Final Fight, the first Final Fight, a lot. It's balanced. Each character plays differently. Well, not really, because Cody and Guy basically are the same, except Guy has the smallest life bar and he's faster, but his hits, like he has the highest combo, but his hits do less damage. So
Take a good while.
So yeah, he has to hit more often, and he's not even a glass cannon because he doesn't do a lot of damage. He's a useless character. Like people are like, they took him out of the home version of Streets of Rage for the SNES. Yeah, but he's useless. He's like a shittier version of Cody, except he doesn't have the strength of Cody, where Cody at least is good with using knives, and knives are some of the most high damaging weapons in the game. If you're stabbing people with them.
I was saying versatile. You, you basically can throw them and stab
Well, only if you're Cody.
some rude. Yeah.
Only if you're Cody. Cody's the only character who can reuse knives multiple times. Every other character just throws the knife, but Cody can stab people, can shank a motherfucker, and do lots and lots of damage. I mean, ridiculous amounts of damage. Like, if you know how to use Cody with a knife, he's basically OP as hell. With a knife. Yeah, you can get Overland, that awesome game that came to the Switch for like $14.99, but here you can pay $5 and get it in the thing. So it was worth it to me. But yeah. Like, I don't know why people would. Yeah, for me, my favorite beat 'em up kind of TikToks between Final Fight and Super Double Dragon.
Well, you said Final Fight for one, so I was waiting for the other.
Yeah, it goes between Final Fight and Super Double Dragon, or Double Dragon Returns. It's the same game, but one's from Japan and the other's in the others from the American version of it. Like, personally I like the Japanese version has better level
Design.
well, the levels are different and the music is different. And the enemies are slightly easier, because I guess apparently this game was rented a lot, and it's just kind of like,
Oof.
yeah, that means the US version is harder than the Japanese version, which I personally hate. I hate games that do that, where they're like, well, you're an American, so we're gonna give you the hard shit. I hate that.
Yeah.
Like, who the hell thought that was a good idea?
Probably the same people that actually broke windows of comic book shops just to.
They're still mad. They're still mad about World War II.
What?
So they're still mad about World War II.
I don't know about that. I just get real pissed off when I see that shit. I'm like, why the hell would you make a game like why the hell would you release a game and then make it? Well, I know why, because they wanted people, like, because they were making money by people buying. Like, they wanted the game to be harder because they wanted people to be able to make money off of renting the game. But the thing is like I rented games back in the day, but more often I owned more games than I rented. You get what I'm saying? Like, I bought more games than I rented. So,
Yeah.
and making games unnecessarily hard to go after people who rent games is just stupid.
Unless you're a masochist.
I mean, I guess you could be a masochist, but it just seems kind of like a dick thing to do. Like okay, like Bayou Billy, okay? Bayou Billy the Japanese version of Bayou Billy is totally playable. Okay? It's totally playable, totally okay. Whereas Bayou Billy, like the US version, is just trash. Virtually unplayable. And I don't like that. Like, who thought that was a good idea? Bastards.
They want to make a ton of money.
Yeah, but they weren't making a ton of money, because the thing is if you rent a game, like, okay, the rental place buys the game, right? They buy the game. But after that, the money's been spent. They aren't buying multiple copies of that game unless it's something that's really popular, like Super Mario World or The Legend of Zelda, or something that people are going to be getting multiple versions of. Typically speaking, what's getting
Rented out.
what's getting rented out is like shit that didn't have a save, that didn't have the ability to save. And you were never going to rent shit long enough to really enjoy it anyway. Let's keep it real.
Unless you're a speedrunner, yeah.
Like if you're renting Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, you're not going to be able to beat that game in a weekend if you're the average gamer.
Yeah, I mean, there are videos of people beating that in 2 hours, but
Okay.
played the game. They're not doing it in 2 hours.
Let me put it this way, okay? People who brag about beating a game that should take longer, beating it quickly is like someone bragging about having sex and being like, yeah, and I finished in like 30 seconds. You gonna brag about that? For real, bro? For real?
There's a Sonic joke that.
Like really? Like people like, man, I beat Super Mario 64 in 7.5 minutes. I'm like, for real?
You probably rushed through, or use level select.
No, I think for speed running, like the fastest speed run, the fastest completion for Mario 64. Let's see, fastest completion.
Well, if you played that game 15 billion times, you want to see how fast you get through it. I understand speed running from that point of view.
My guess is under an hour.
No, it was an hour and 38 minutes 54 seconds. And that was for 120 star completion for Super Mario 64.
Yeah.
But
So
why
why-
would you, like, the thing is, why would you want to rush yourself? Because, I mean, half of the fun of Mario 64 is the exploration, is the dicking around, is the running around, finding shit to do. I mean, that's, it's how it's getting some of those stars.
Special stars.
That's half the fun,
Yeah.
Like, why rush yourself? Like I said, it's like someone having sex and being like, yeah, I did it in like 30 seconds. Really, I wouldn't brag about that shit.
Yeah. That's like. Yeah, I'm gonna have to say, Sonic betting the girl and said he's the. And the girl saying, "Indeed you are."
It's like that. It's like that old. What's it called? It's like that old. It's like it's like Justice League Infinite, where the Flash is like, "I'm the fastest man alive," and Hawk Girl's like, "And that's why you don't have a girlfriend." That's right. Hey. It's like, I wouldn't brag about that. I would not brag about being the fastest man alive. I would not brag about that.
Ladies, no, don't brag about that.
a game. You should sit down and take your time and enjoy a game. You should take your time. You should fill out. You should take it to the limits. Enjoy it. Savor it. Really take your time to appreciate playing that game. And then, after you spent your time learning every inch, taking that game to its limits, learning every inch and meter and, savoring it, then you finish the game. Now, you can apply that moniker to a lot of things. And yes, I meant to say that. I meant to say it that way. But yeah, I I just find it kind of ridiculous when people say that. They're like, "Yeah, we speed ran
was
this
gonna say,
game." I'm like,
something
"Why would you
right-
brag about that?"
Basically.
I just don't. I don't understand people just being like, "Man, we gotta do this." I'm like, dude, just sit down and enjoy your damn game. You know,
Mm-hmm.
don't rush through that shit. It's like speed eating competitions. I mean, aren't you gonna slow down and enjoy your meal? No, man. I'm like, why?
I was about to say, there's more than one reason. Basically, your stomach.
I guess so, but that's my own thing. That's where I'm just like, I can't. I can't deal with it. I don't like it. But that's just me. I know some people will disagree, and they're allowed to disagree because, people are only human. So, yeah, but like I said, I personally prefer. I'm torn between um, Final Fight and the original Final Fight, like the port for the SNES and Super Double Dragon. Like, I like those two games a lot. More so than a lot of other games. So I guess we can keep it moving to the next question, which is, what's your favorite 2D fighter and why?
That's a tricky one because would you consider or not? Because I got at least a backup game for it just in case.
No, go ahead. Put it out there. If it's 2D and it fits the criteria, you
Okay.
can go with it.
Okay, my main one would be the Super Smash Bros. Series,
All right.
and I'm saying that because basically you basically could evade in 2D, but even though the characters are in 3D.
All right.
And also in a sense you basically got nowhere to really evade unless you jump over the character or barrel roll through them. It's basically one of the easier games to get into the more complex, which is a good and bad thing at the same time.
Smash
Right.
Brothers. Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say Smash Brothers is like, if you want to get into 2D fighters, I don't think Smash Brothers is a good way to start because the control scheme of Smash Brothers, that control scheme doesn't translate to other 2D fighters at all.
I was saying for getting the foot in fighters, I'd say that is the game, but
Nah. I mean,
No,
because the whole point of getting your foot in the door on something is that it's supposed to give you the basic skills you need in order to those skills translate to other things. Like, you learn to ride a bike, and those skills teach you about like other types of vehicles. The skills you
Like,
learn
I
in
get it,
Smash
man.
Brothers, you can't if you're really good at Smash Brothers and only at Smash Brothers, those skills don't translate to Street Fighter, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, um, uh, uh, Guilty Gear, Samurai
Um,
Showdown,
I was gonna say the
Killer
button scheme
Instinct.
and combo lessons
Nope.
scheme and controls are not one, but I would say that Smash is a good for getting a peek into it. Not
Eh,
not
no.
for
No,
fight like those.
I would say a casual fighting game, that's good for something like that is the one I'm playing right now, Dragon Ball Fighter Z. Well,
Yeah.
Stuff in Dragon Ball Fighter Z can translate into other
Or-
fighters.
Or the original Street Fighter 2, like any of the ports. Well, except for the Sega Genesis port. But aside from that, Street Fighter 2 is a great entry level 2D fighter. Cause it's I mean, it's like basically if you can play Street Fighter 2 to a reasonable level of competency, you could take those skills and play any other 2D fighter aside from Smash Brothers, because the control scheme and how you defeat enemies is so vastly different than any other fighting game. It kind of doesn't work, but that's I mean, but what was your backup, Jewel?
My backup would be Killer Instinct SNES.
All right, that's fair. Kenoshi?
Either Street Fighter 2 or Street Fighter Third Strike. Those are the two games.
Third Strike's hard to get into though. That's really hardcore right there, man.
Yeah, it is. That's why I like it.
That
And I
is-
bet
Threw it
you got
all away
Street
with
Fighter.
4. They threw it all away with 4 and 5.
No, look, if you can do well in Street Fighter 3, then 4 and 5 are just going to be a joke to you. I'm sorry, they're going to be like, hey, what is this shit? That's basically, this shit's too slow.
Yeah, I like that I like the parry system.
Yeah. So I guess I'll give mine. I would say Street Fighter 2 first, because Street Fighter 2, like I
That
said.
doesn't go Street Fighter.
Well, no, the thing about Street Fighter 2 is Street Fighter 2, if you can do well in classic Street Fighter 2, you can play any other 2D fighting game, because Street Fighter 2 is the template for every other 2D fighting game. Even Mortal Kombat, aside from the block button, which is a fucking stupid idea in a 2D fighting game. But aside from that, like if you know how to use reuse combos, how to use charge characters, switch characters, hold characters, roll characters. If you can use if you're proficient with all 4 of those types of character types, you can play any other 2D fighting game, and those skills translate. Like you can play Guilty Gear, you can play Blaze Blue, you can play SNK games, you can play the Neo Geo games. Like if you can play Street Fighter 2, you can play every other game. For guilty pleasure 2D fighter, I love. I have to agree with you on this one. I do personally love. I love Killer Instinct.
I thought the new one was pretty good too.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about the new one. I'm talking old school Killer Instinct.
Sorry, I was remembering.
Oh
Some of the
yeah, the
music.
one the black cartridge on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, old school Killer Instinct. I love that game because Killer Instinct basically took the art aesthetic of a Mortal Kombat, but it had the game. It had the combo. It had the gameplay system of a Street Fighter. So it took the best of both worlds and melded them together. And it had interesting characters, interesting story lore. I just really like that game. I think Killer Instinct really didn't get its chance to shine like it should have. Because overall, like I said, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, the only thing that's missing from the newer Killer Instinct, which I feel like they really could have stepped in combat for this, the humiliations.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, come on. What's better than what's better than being friend than giving it? Making your opponent dance like a monkey after you mop the floor of them.
I mean, personally, I'm just gonna say this right now. I like okay, if like I love Killer Instinct so much that I have that game on multiple consoles. I have Killer Instinct for the Game Boy. I have Killer Instinct for the SNES. I have a custom made Killer Instinct arcade cabinet for Killer Instinct and Killer Instinct Gold. Sorry, Killer Instinct 2 for the for one of my barcades. I love Killer Instinct. It's one of my favorite games. I think that because it's different. It like when you first look at Killer Instinct, you think, oh, they're cloning uh, Mortal Kombat. But if you play Killer Instinct, it's very different from Mortal Kombat. Although it does kind of have.
Here's an unpopular opinion. I don't think Mortal Kombat's all that great.
No, I agree with you. I never thought Mortal Kombat was that good. I think the only reason people like Mortal Kombat was because of the marketing and because it had blood and fatalities. Because in the grand scheme of things, Mortal Kombat is not that good of a fighting game. I mean, it has dial a combo combat where you have to like once you memorize a combo and you just keep on plugging in different move sets in order to continue your combo going, and it feels kind of cheap. Now Killer Instinct kind of had that too, where you had plug in a combo, but it was a little bit different because it would basically automatically complete the combo depending on what attack you used. So like if you jumped into an enemy and you pressed with a kick and then you pressed a punch button, it would do a punching combo, and then that could chain into you could use a projectile, which would you do a series of hits and then finish it off with a projectile. Or if you were a character who had a juggler move like Glacius, you could use his juggler move and knock a character in the air, and then use that move again to hit them again before they hit the ground. So you could keep your combo going. It was nice. Or you could use a chain to keep the combo going even further. So, there was a little bit of strategy there. I think the music in Killer Instinct was great. Like, every single character's music was awesome. I have to say my personal favorite, of course, is... well, gotta talk my. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of my favorite character in Killer Instinct is kind of a mix between. I mean, I like all of them. I can't really. They're like my kids. I like all of them.
For me, I'm linked to Cinder, Orchid, and Jago.
Mm.
Actually,
Yeah.
scratch that. Cinder, Cinder, Orchid, and that's the one. I was trying to be careful of my word in there.
Orchid. I never really liked Cinder all that much because he basically was he was the anti-Glacius. I like Glacius because I figured out a hack for him in the Game Boy version of Killer Instinct where enemies wouldn't block his light forward punch. So you could basically stagger an enemy, including the boss idle, on hardest difficulty. Beat the game really easy. But I also beat the game with every other the hardest mode with every other character too. So it wasn't just Glacius. So
You guys have had fun getting rid of Idol.
Idol was just a cheap ass boss in Killer Instinct. Like he was so badass, they just left him in the room with the portal and just threw a something in there every once in a while. It was ridiculous. But I guess we can keep it moving. So here's our final thing, which is what's your favorite RPG?
Our favorite.
Your favorite RPG?
Ooh boy. This is something that personally on me because I got so many to pick from. um, for consoles, I'm going with my true pick, Chrono Trigger. Not gonna lie, it's pretty good, and anything have I had a lot of fun, especially when trying to cheese some of the bosses.
Yeah. So once you figure out how to basically, um, once you beat that game once and do New Game Plus, the game gets like really, really easy.
Yeah, for handheld, it's a bit trickier, but if anything, I'll give it to both Adventure Bar Story and Brave Dungeon.
All right.
This
Kenoshi?
Brave,
No, go ahead.
what about you? I was going to say that Brave Dungeon is kind of like Chrono, actually, that with some work you can actually cheese your way through, and with Adventure Bar Story, it kind of makes you work hard for your craft, as in you basically are eating your.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say, well, yeah, Chrono Trigger, because it's one of the few RPGs I've played more than once. And let's see what else. Super Mario RPG. It's pretty good. I played that more than once too. And Final Fantasy 6.
Damn, you took all the really good. Okay, fine then. Because Kenoshi took all the ones I would have said, I will say that those are some of my favorite RPGs as well. But I'm gonna go with one that has not been said, which is I personally love Skies of Arcadia Legends. It was made by the same people who made shit Fantasy Star 1 through 4, and basically the lady who made that game, she essentially um,
Mm-hmm.
she essentially kind of like over time she essentially made that game better. You get what I'm saying? Like she took everything she knew about that game, okay, about making RPGs, and she basically just kind of like brought it all together and put it into Skies of Arcadia. And you play that game and you realize that it's clear that the lady who made this game really, like the people who made that game really love RPGs. Like they really, really love RPGs. Like if you love RPGs, this game is for you. All right? If you don't love RPGs, then I don't know what to say to you. It's probably not for you. But if you do love RPGs, it's for you.
I was about to say Skies of Arcadia. I actually that you would go with something else like Radiant Historia.
Where'd you get that game on? GameCube or?
I got it on GameCube. I also have it for the Dreamcast, but the GameCube version is like The Dreamcast version, if you have a VMU, there's like this like side quest you can do with one of the characters. But aside from that, and like the GameCube version doesn't have that, but everything else is there. So I like the GameCube version because the GameCube version has Dolby surround sound, Dolby Digital 3.0 surround sound, which makes it sound awesome if you have a good sound system. First, second of all, the game's just really good. Like, it's astonishingly good. The encounter rate gets a little high, but not insurmountable. By the end of the game, if you grind a little bit, you'll be OP for the final boss. It'll be a joke. Like, there's a point in the game where you have this fight where you're supposed to lose, and if you ground a little bit, you'll be just like, man, I'm way more powerful than any of these people at this point. You almost feel bad about it. You're like I'm supposed to lose this fight. I didn't know that. I didn't know I was supposed to lose this fight. Yeah, you're supposed to lose this fight. I didn't know that.
How do the characters react when you win the fight?
No, like you basically you do so much damage to this boss that they just don't go down. Like you're like I've killed this guy like 5 times. No, you didn't, because you're supposed to lose the fight, which I don't like. I don't like games that do that. I fucking hate games that are like, oh well, you're not supposed to die. This is a you're supposed to lose this fight. I hate that.
Well, if you're gonna do that, just have a cutscene where they're fighting the guy and they actually lose the fight, rather than having you fight
Waste
the boss.
resources.
I mean,
Rather than fight the...
Well, I mean, it's a very minor
Event.
well, it's a minor it's a minor gripe, because the rest of the world is really good. You know what I mean? The rest of the game is really good. Like I can forgive that one thing, because it's not insurmountable, because when you finally go back and fight this guy and kick his ass, and you do eventually go back and kick his ass, it's like, great, fuck this guy. So yeah, I personally, I think that it's one of the better games. It's one of the better games on the GameCube. The other really good game on the GameCube is maybe Tales of Symphonia. Love that game. If you're gonna play Tales of Symphonia, the best way to play Tales of Symphonia is the GameCube version. If you can get it, because these days they haven't made new versions of that game. If you want to get that game, there's like those shitty ass the shitty ass PlayStation port, which is trash. PS2 port, which is trash because it's 30 frames per second. That game on the GameCube is 60 frames per second, which means it's smooth. So that's, in my opinion, that's the better version of that game. But whatever. Anything you guys want to add before we wrap things up?
Sony lost their lawsuit with the European government as it pertains to
not giving people refunds for their shit.
Yeah.
That's a bow.
Also, yeah.
I don't know why you wouldn't give people their money, though. That's the thing that I don't understand. It's like, look, man, people paid their money out. Give them their fucking money, man.
Yeah, I don't understand why these digital platforms don't have like a 30-day policy, like brick and mortar stores when it comes to their game. I guess because people game the system, they're like, well, I'm gonna buy this game and quickly finish it and then return it.
Yeah.
I've known people who do that at brick and mortar stores, like GameStop.
Yeah, but by and large, a lot of people don't do that. Like, and really, I mean, we live here in America, and America has shitty consumer protection. We have shitty consumer protection in America. It really should be better, but like the system is geared towards protecting and looking for the interests of the people who make the product, not the people who are buying the product, which is some bullshit. But you know, what are you gonna do? But as far as I'm concerned, I just feel there should be better. I think we should, you know, how can I put this? I think there should be better consumer protections here in America for consumers, okay, not for, you know, because there's been games that I bought and I was like, I think this game is some bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that this game is some bullshit. I'm reasonably certain this game is not what it should be. But, you know, to each his own. So those are all of our questions. Anything you guys want to pimp out before we wrap things up?
I would pimp popular opinions we got, but we're probably on time shortages.
I mean, we've gone over. I mean, if they're quick, we can all give our unpopular opinion. Kenoshi already gave his. His was that Mortal Kombat is overrated. But I kind of agree with that. I don't think that's unpopular. I think Mortal Kombat is not that good of a 2D fighting game.
Yeah. I mean, my opinion isn't necessarily should be completely trusted, because my first real experience with Mortal Kombat, meaning my extensive time with the game, was with 9, but I just remember 9 getting a lot of praise, so I was just like, I don't know, coming off of games like Street Fighter, this game's really slow. I don't really like the button combos. I don't really like how the characters move.
I mean, the game just is. I just think it's over. I think the only reason that people like Mortal Kombat is because it's really, really violent. And the fatalities. People give a fuck about the fatalities, but I don't think Mortal Kombat within and of itself is a good game.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good 2D fighter in the classic sense of the word. I know some people will disagree and get angry about it, but that's just how I feel. So, meh. Blah, blah. Your turn, Jewel. Give your unpopular opinion.
You Street Fighter are too dependent on that series.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, Jewel. You might not like Street Fighter 2, but it is the core of every 2D fighter.
It's the game that started it all.
Yeah.
It's the game that everybody has to be good at in order to play every other little pathetic that has ever existed.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I mean,
go that far, because
I mean, here's the thing: if you look at every other 2D fighter that tried to shake it up and do something different, during that 16-bit era, that was like, well, we're not going to be like Street Fighter 2. They suck. They're trash. They didn't age well. I mean, the core foundation that Street Fighter 2 created is still in use in 2D fighters today, which is why I said you can play
how Street Fighter came out right now.
Well, that's because Capcom took it for granted. But if you play some of the successors to Street Fighter 2, like your SNK games or Guilty Gear or Blaze Blue or even Dragon Ball Fighter Z, if you do a forward roll in a thing, do you shoot a fireball, Kenoshi?
Yeah, you pretty much shoot a.
There you go. I mean, it's like Mario is the granddaddy of 2D platformers. Yeah, it wasn't the first 2D platformer, but it was the one that kind of set the rules in place for how a 2D platformer should roll. Mario 64 set the standards for what a 3D action adventure games should have, like platforming action adventure games should have, and those rules are still in play today. So, you know, while there are better 3D platformers than Mario 64 out now,
I said
because
Street Fighter as a series is overhyped. I didn't say that it was overhyped. I said the series overall.
Uh, I mean, I think there are people who do overhype it. I don't think it's overhyped. I think most of the like hardcore Street Fighter fans are like I wouldn't say hardcore. The most fans of Street Fighter, they like Street Fighter 2, maybe Street Fighter 2, the new challengers, maybe Street Fighter, maybe one or two of the alphas, and Third Strike. And that's it. Like after that, like once you get to Street Fighter 4 and 5, they're like, no, I'm good. But okay, fine. That's your opinion. That's your onion. You're allowed to have it. So I guess it's my turn to give my onion. My unpopular opinion is this. I think that Sega was always trash. I'm tired of people saying, well, they competed against Nintendo for one console generation. And then after that, like, and here's the thing, okay? Everyone's like, well, the Sega Genesis was made to compete against the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System. And that was awesome. But you know what? Once the Super Nintendo came out and Nintendo just started dropping some great games for that system, from the get-go, because remember, Sonic the Hedgehog didn't come out till like 1990, I want to say 90? Let me look it up. Sonic the Hedgehog. It was not a launch title for the Sega Genesis. The game that came with the Sega Genesis was Alex Kidd, which is trash. And I stand by that. Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog didn't come out till 91. The Sega Genesis came out in 89. Okay? So literally you had 18 months till the main game came out. Whereas, you know, in the 16-bit era, Nintendo came out with Super Mario World. It was a launch game for the Super Nintendo. Okay? Super Mario World, launch game. I think Link to the Past came out because the SNES launched in like, I want to say September, October. Link to the Past came out in like January, February. Like it came out that winter, like after the holidays, or maybe it was during I don't know, but it was basically within the first 6-7 months of that system being out. You had some of the big games coming out for it. So, you know, Sega had 2 years to do whatever the hell they wanted because the SNES didn't launch until 91. So, yeah, but anyway, yeah, I think that the Sega Genesis is overrated and was never that good of a company. I think that they're mostly overrated. And that can be proven by them just fucking up continuously, repeatedly, over and over and over again with everything else they did. Okay? Because, I mean, think about it. Okay? They launched the Sega Genesis, and then they fucked it up with the Sega CD, the Sega 32X, the Sega Saturn, the Sega, and then the Dreamcast, and then they left the console industry. So really, who won? Really? Who won that fight? Okay? Because don't forget, because you can say... Go ahead.
I just don't hear people talk about Genesis as much as I hear people talk about the Super Nintendo.
No, I mean, because I've heard people say that. Well, you know, Sega was one of the few companies that could compete with Nintendo. Bullshit, they could compete with Nintendo. How dare you, sir? All right, like it's just look, listen. I understand that there are people who are fans of who are fans of Sega. But I mean, here's the thing, okay? Let's keep it real, okay? Sega made Sonic the Hedgehog. Like Sonic the Hedgehog appeared the original Sonic the Hedgehog for Sega Genesis was a launch title on the Wii, on their Virtual Console. Think about that. He was literally. Think about it. Your mascot character was a launch game on your opponent's console because they're still fucking making a console and your ass got run out of business from making consoles anymore. So Sega needs to. So you Sega fanboys need to stop with that shit. Oh, Sega could. No, they couldn't. Okay, you bought into the hype because you thought that, man, Nintendo's kiddie. You know, I don't know why you would think Nintendo's kiddie with all the hardcore shit that was on the Nintendo system, but you know, whatever. It was kiddie. But yeah. Like I said, I think that I think Sega as a company is overrated. I think that they aren't terrible, but they aren't. You know, people were like, well, they could compete with Nintendo. Not really. I think it's like I said, I think it's kind of a misnomer to say, well, you know, they're on par with Nintendo. No, they never were.
Yeah. I don't know.
They kind of shot themselves in the ass with their bad business decisions, and that's on them. You know. But don't tell me they were competing with Nintendo, because they weren't. Because none of the games that Sega came out with have withstood the test of time, like Nintendo's, you know, bellwether, like marquee titles. Like Sega hasn't come up with a Legend of Zelda type game that has withstood this test of time like Legend of Zelda, or, you know, Sonic isn't on the same level as Mario. All right.
Yeah, I mean, was Sonic really ever all that good?
I mean, maybe Sonic 1
Only
and 2.
a few games, if anything.
Maybe
Yeah,
Sonic 1 and 2. I never really liked Sonic 3 that much. I know some people are like, I like that game. It has Knuckles.
I was about to say Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles. I mean, Sonic 3 and Knuckles the most polished of the trilogy there.
I disagree. Because like, in order for you to get the full experience of Sonic and Sonic 3, you have to buy a fucking an expansion before the expansion in order to enjoy the full fucking game. Why do I have to buy another game and plug it into another game?
I said Sonic 3 and Knuckles is the full experience. I did.
Yeah.
But I didn't say it was I didn't say it was the cheapest to get into.
No, I'm just saying, like if I have to buy another, if I have to buy an expansion, this is before expansions on consoles were a thing, folks. You have to fucking buy an expansion to enjoy the full experience of a game. That's some bullshit, man. I'm sorry, that's just complete and total bullshit. I mean, there's no mainline Nintendo game where you have to do that. I've never been playing Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past and been like, okay, folks, I gotta buy another game to plug into Link to the Past in order to enjoy the full experience of Link to the Past. No.
That is where I'd say Nintendo beats them even on their best.
Like, you know, Sega was nice And if you listen, if you're someone who fell into the bullshit marketing of Sega, okay, then I understand. You got into the marketing. You're like, well,
I say that Sega has its moments, but it's not in though.
What?
I said Sega has, but it's nowhere near Nintendo.
No. Sega was nowhere near Nintendo. Like that's the thing that got me. Everyone's like, well, Microsoft took the place of Sega, and I remember like someone at Sega saying we learned everything about video gaming from Sega. I was like, really? Because I wouldn't tell anyone that. Because Sega was,
Beep.
they were trash as far as a video game company goes. But to each his own. So yeah, that's my unpopular opinion. That's all I had to say. Anything you guys want to pimp out before we wrap things up?
I think I'm set.
All right.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay then. So that's in this.
Thank you for watching the BS Busters, and don't forget, we got email, we got Twitter.
That's right. We do. We do have email and Twitter. Matter of fact, it's right here. There we go. I had to hit the switch. To get in touch with the cast via Gmail, you can reach me at mrredfoxbsbuster@gmail.com. And we do answer emails live on air, so you can leave questions and comments and concerns, and we'll take care of that. Or at Twitter, you can at me at Twitter at Matt at MrRedFox91. So there you go. Peace, good night, arrivederci. We went a little bit over, but fuck it. Sometimes when something good comes up, you got to go with it. So with that being said,